Symbols are absolutely everywhere. We see them in company logos, on ancient buildings. They're just part of our world. But what if some of the most common ones have a hidden language, a secret meaning that only a handful of people actually understand? Well, today, we're going to dive deep into that very idea, exploring the world of Masonic and occult symbols. Just think about the yin/yang symbol. I mean, you've seen it a million times, right? We think of it as a sign of balance, of harmony. But what if there's more to it? A lot more. A controversial book we're looking at today argues this simple symbol is a favorite of sorcerers, and it's deeply connected to ideas about sexuality and ancient magic. So, where are we getting all this from? This entire explainer is digging into the claims made in Dr. Kathy Burns' book, Masonic and Occult Symbols Illustrated. We're going to walk through her research step by step to really understand her perspective on how to decode these hidden meanings. Okay, so before we can even get into the weeds here, we have to start with the basics. What even is a symbol? Because the author's entire argument really hangs on this one specific definition. The book kicks things off with a pretty straightforward definition from Webster's dictionary. A symbol is a visible sign of something invisible. Now, the key phrase there is something invisible. The whole idea is that symbols are designed to point to a meaning that's hidden, that's not right there on the surface. They're kind of like a key to a secret door. And look, this isn't just about playing with words. The book argues that this whole idea of hidden meanings is a core principle in groups like the Freemasons. It actually uses quotes from prominent Masonic authors to show that these secret meanings are put there on purpose. For instance, the author quotes a Masonic writer named George H. Steinmetz, who says there's a secret doctrine in Freemasonry that is concealed rather than revealed by the normal explanations. So what does that mean? It suggests that the symbols aren't just there to explain something. They're there to hide it, to act as a veil for a much deeper truth. And this idea of layered truths just keeps going. Another Masonic writer, Carl Claudy, describes symbols as having these shells of meaning. You cut through one layer and you find another meaning, and then you cut through that and find something else. It really paints a picture of a rabbit hole of interpretation, where the surface meaning is just the beginning. So, according to the book, this all creates a two-tiered system of knowledge. First, you have the exoteric meaning. That's the public version, the simplified, or even totally invented story that's given to the masses. But then, there's the esoteric meaning, the true, original, and often secret meaning that's only understood by the insiders, the initiates.
All right, so theory's one thing, but how does this actually play out with a real symbol? Well, the book uses the yin/yang as a perfect case study to try and peel back some of these supposed esoteric layers.
Now, at that exoteric, public level, we all know the yin-yang. It represents opposites, right? Dark and light, feminine and masculine. It's usually associated with religions like Taoism and Buddhism. But the book argues that it was also adopted into Western magic, astrology, and witchcraft, and it became a favorite of what one of the book's sources calls sorcerers and mystics.
The book offers up a few examples of the yin/yang's influence to back this up. One is Tai Chi Chuan. The claim is that its entire philosophy, the meditative movements, it's all based directly on this complementary relationship between yin and yang.
And it doesn't stop there. The book also connects the yin/yang philosophy to divination, and specifically to palmistry. It actually cites a source that claims ancient Chinese thought saw the palm of your hand as a replica of yin and yang, holding all the secrets to your destiny. Another big example given is the I Ching, also known as the Book of Changes. The author describes this as a really popular form of divination that is built from the ground up on the constant back and forth between what it calls the antagonistic principles of yin and yang. So we've covered philosophy and divination. But now, the book takes a turn and dives into what it claims is a much deeper and way more provocative layer of meaning. And this one involves sexuality and the very nature of gods. Okay, so the book cites this work called Our Phallic Heritage, which flat out claims the yin-yang is a symbol of sexual union. It even draws these direct parallels to other ancient symbols of male and female principles, like the lingam yoni in India. Then the book gets into the actual design of the symbol itself. You know that little dot of the opposite color that's in each half? Well, the argument here is that this dot represents the presence of the opposite gender. And according to the book, this links the symbol to ideas of bisexuality and even to dual-sexed deities, like the two-faced Roman god Janus. And this idea is pushed even further with the alchemical figure of the androgyny, a being that is both male and female in one body. In some of these occult traditions, this was seen as the image of human perfection, a total fusion of both masculine and feminine nature. So all of this, the layers of meaning, the sexuality, the gods, it's all building towards the author's final point. And for Dr. Burns, this isn't just some interesting trivia. She sees it as a fundamental clash of worldviews.
The book lays out what it calls the laws of the yin/yang philosophy. It highlights principles like everything is always changing, all antagonisms like good and evil are actually complementary, and nothing is ever purely one thing or the other.
And then, to really make its point, the book puts that philosophy right up against quotes from the Bible, like, "I am the Lord, I change not," and that God is of purer eyes than to behold evil. So from the author's perspective, these two philosophies are in direct opposition. One says everything changes, the other emphasizes an unchanging God. So there you have it. The author's final conclusion is that the philosophy baked into the yin/yang symbol is just fundamentally incompatible with a biblical worldview. In this view, it's not simply a symbol of balance, but a representation of a whole belief system where good and evil are tangled up together and nothing is absolute. So, we're left with a really provocative question, aren't we? This explainer has taken us on a journey through one author's claim that symbols have a secret language. Now, whether you agree with this particular interpretation or not, it makes you think. If the symbols all around us are speaking a language we don't understand, what are they saying? And how does that change the way you see the world?